Hello and welcome to Prime Code Media. In this video, you will learn how to use JavaScript alert method to add behavior to a website. Inside a new tab in Chrome, go to the top right and click on these three little dots here, and then go to More Tools and then select Developer Tools. Now this will open Chrome Developer Tools for you, and then here you will be able to write JavaScript code and run it by clicking enter. So for example, here what I want to do here is that I want the website to display a pop-up message box, and this is the behavior that I want to add to my website. To do this, I'm going to use the alert method like so. I'm going to say alert and then add round brackets and then quotation marks. Inside these quotation marks, I'm going to add a simple hello message, and then I'm going to close this off with a semicolon. You'll see that when I click enter, we get a pop-up. So the output is hello. This is the hello inside our quotation marks right here. Now this is all well and good, but console is great, but you will encounter its downside when you try to execute multiple line instructions. For example, if you have an alert that reads hello like we have right now, but want to have another one that says weld in the next line, when you click OK on the first pop-up, you don't get to be taken straight to the next line. Let me show you what I mean by that. Let me have another alert here. Let me add the round brackets, quotation marks, and the message here. I'm going to have weld as a message inside this one, and then I'm going to close this off with a semicolon as well. Now you'll see that when I click on OK, I don't get to be taken straight to weld. So we don't get to have another pop-up that has the message weld. Now, in order to have this code run, or to run this code, I'll have to come here and click enter. It is only now that we have this pop-up, and then I can click OK. And then if I have another one after this one, I'll also have again to click enter like that. So there's another way of writing JavaScript code inside the, Chrome. If you come here, before we do that, let me just refresh here so that everything is removed. If you come to sources here, open sources, you will see that there's these snippets. If you click on the plus, this will add a new snippet for you, and you can rename this and name it anything that you want. I'm going to name this index.js and then click enter. Now here you can write as many lines of code as you want. So for example, I'm just going to have an alert, round brackets, quotation marks. I'm going to have a message here, hello, and then close this off with a semicolon. I'm going to have another one here, and then this one will say weld, close this off with a semicolon as well. Let me have the third one. Okay, this one will read, how are you doing, like so. Close this off with a semicolon, and then I'll come here, down here to this arrow and click it to run the snippet. Okay, so you'll see that when I click here, we get the pop-up hello is the output, and then when I come here and click OK, I get taken straight to the next line. That is why we have the output weld. And then when I click OK on this one, we get taken straight to the next line, and we have this pop-up that reads, how are you doing. Now, the difference between console and snippet editor is that the console is fine for testing individual lines of code. So you write one line of code, test it, write the next one, test it, and so on and so on. Now, the snippet editor, on the other hand, allows us to execute our code once we have written the entire script. Here I used the alert keyword to give the browser an instruction. What we got from our browser is an alert box with a message, and this is because the browser knows the alert keyword. It knows what instruction to execute. Now let's see what happens when we use a keyword that the browser doesn't know. So I'm just going to remove everything here and use say, which is a keyword that the browser doesn't know. I'm going to add the message hello and then close this off with a a semicolon. Now we have used this say as a keyword. You'll see that when I click enter here to run this code, we get this red line here, which indicates that there is something wrong here. When you go to console, you'll see that it says uncaught reference say is not defined at index.js. Now, what the browser is saying here is that it doesn't know the keyword. It doesn't know what instruction to execute. So what this means is that as programmers, it's important that we know the correct keywords. But where do we get these keywords? My preferred source for this is MDN Web Docs. But there are also many other sources that you can also check out online. For example, there's websites like w3schools.com. You can also check it out. It's also a great source. Now, let's take a closer look at this line of code. Here we have alert. Alert is the keyword here. It is also known as the function because it tells the browser to do something. Secondly, we have round brackets. Everything inside the brackets is what will be included or displayed in the pop-up. Inside the brackets, we have a message. Now, the message is what we want the pop-up to display. This can be anything. So in this example, I use the hello. You can write anything you like inside here. Next, we have the quotation marks. So this message is inside the quotation marks. The quotation marks tell the browser that what is inside here is not a part of the functionality. That is just a string. What do I mean with this? So let me just come and show you what I mean. So what I mean when I say that inside this quotation, what is inside this quotation marks is not part of the functionality is that, for example, I can have this alert and then have quotation marks here. So you'll see that when I click run here, we do get this functionality, the pop-up. So what I mean by saying that what is inside here is not part of the functionality is that even without the string, the functionality will still be executed or carried out. So the absence of the string does not affect the functionality. So that's what I meant. Now, next we have the semicolon. So the semicolon tells the browser that the instruction ends here. So the semicolon is an equivalent of a full stop. And that, folks, brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and bye for now.